Well, welcome to my garden. I wanted to visit with you here for a couple of reasons. One, to show you that the organic program works very well. A lot of things here I can show you. A lot of things I'm still learning here myself. It is, number one, an experimental garden, I guess, and number two, landscaping that is successful. The secret to organics is common sense. Stop using the synthetic fertilizers and the toxic chemical pesticides and start using organic fertilizer, biological products, and things that stimulate the life in the soil and above ground with every application. We want to stop thinking force feed and kill and start thinking life in the soil, healthy roots, and healthy plants growing the way nature intended them to grow. One of the things I wanted you to see is that the trees, and I have dozens of species of trees here, from oaks to elms to maples to, and ranging between native and introduced plants. And you can see that the color is very good. We have very few pest problems. A few pop up occasionally, but they're minor. And the color and the vigor is always good, from bur oaks and live oaks down to fairly exotic plants like this Orangiola Japanese maple. One of the great perennials, this one has turned into a forest in my garden. This is Hoja Santa. It's kin to Kava Kava, and you can grow it as an ornamental plant. The white flowers are attractive and interesting, or it can be used for cooking. I will take the large leaves and put various meats and garlic and onions and peppers and things like that, roll it up, and then bake it in the oven at about 350 degrees for somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour generally. Depends on how large you make them, and it's very tasty. Some people would say not to eat Hoja Santa, so it'll be up to you. There are some alkaloids in it, but as long as you don't eat it too often, just like spinach and sorrel, I would say the same thing about it. I think Hoja Santa is a delicious herb for the garden. This is a vine that's a favorite of mine. This is one that blooms, comes back every year. It's called Sweet Autumn Clematis or Fall Clematis. Some people pronounce it Clematis, but it's a perennial. It dies to the ground in hard winters and then comes back, grows very fast, and you have these beautiful fragrant white flowers that start late August and go through September. One of my favorite plants and a very economical plant to grow because you can start from 1-gallon containers and have a show like this very quickly. This is one of my favorite trees by far. This is the tree that I planted in 1985 when my daughter Logan was born. It's the ginkgo that I've talked to you about a lot and is in the books. It was about 8 feet tall when it was planted and has grown tremendously for a ginkgo. To give you an idea how quickly it has grown, the live oak tree over here existed on the site when we bought the house in 1984. It wasn't that big, but still you can see the ginkgo has not only caught up with it, but is a little bit bigger than the live oak at this point. I think the reason the ginkgo has done so well in this situation is that it's been in a totally organic program, healthy organic soil, since the very beginning. And since it's an ancient tree, probably more important for it than it is for other trees. This is a plant that a lot of people would consider a weed, but I kind of like it. I kind of like it as a fairly long-lived perennial that spreads quite a bit, or you can treat it as an annual. This is Polk Salad. Some people eat it, but I don't. If you eat it, you've got to parboil it and go through a lot of trouble. So I use Polk Salad just pretty much as an ornamental plant. The berries start off green, the fruit, and then turn into this purple color that you see here. So it can be quite attractive, but also very invasive. So be careful where you plant Polk Salad. This is the metal container I use to put the raw scraps from the kitchen first. You see those maggots working in there? Those are maggots. Those are the larvae of the black soldier fly, which is a real pretty insect that looks like a blue-black wasp, but it's actually a fly. They're beneficial, and they'll always be in compost like this. It's very moist. But if you put your kitchen scraps in a container like this first, and then move that material after it's broken down for a while into the freestanding piles somewhere else in the garden, then you won't attract the wild animals. The wild animals cannot get in this container. All right, we'll mix this sawdust with grasses and Polk salad I've pulled out and various other weeds and kinds of things. And I'll keep the compost pile here that's finished. I need to filter this, but it's, once the bigger pieces are filtered out of it, it's ready to use in the garden. And we'll start another compost pile here with new raw materials like this.